My experience being incarcerated, at first it just started off petty, what I felt was petty discipline at school grounds. For one of my first tickets was literally having a nickel bag, and I got fined for that. I got sent to rehabilitation. I got put on probation. Another ticket that I felt was interesting for me too, one of my first one, before even the weed one, was I got caught eating on the metro, and I got a fine for that, and I got home and explained to my family, and I got criminalized by my own family. So it was a situation that I felt just kind of ended up leading me to a pathway that I wasn't sure of at first. When you have the school criminalizing you, your community criminalizing you, your own family, it just becomes a point where I'm just like, I guess I'm a criminal. And it got to the point where just a lot of little fines, little tickets ended up causing me to violate probation, and before I knew it, I ended up serving time. And then coming back out, trying to reintegrate back into school, it wasn't easy, as I was pretty much getting put on really high control to try to do something wrong, and they'll try to throw me back in. So it was a difficult situation to go to school knowing that I had being targeted by the police or being targeted by my own enemies. So definitely it was a tough path to go through, and I felt that the school system didn't do adjust for me, because I just kind of felt like I got, I got pretty much pushed out of school. At a young age, it was difficult for me to try to reintegrate myself back in. I went to a lot of different high schools because I was getting suspended, getting kicked out, and getting sent to a different high school. So those were the two of the schools that I went to. And as I mentioned, also in school is tough because there's a culture at school where, to be the big bad gangster in class or in school will get you popularity. So that's something else that we were battling, was the whole masculinity. And I also felt the environment outside of the school plays a role, because your safety is in jeopardy, and how do you combat that is by going out and being part of a gang to get some protection, and that also leads to different forms of crime due to the way you're supposed to climb ranks in gangs. So it was definitely a domino effect that I didn't anticipate coming when I was in elementary. And I made it to middle school as an average kid, and so I know I enjoyed school, but just the environment itself didn't allow me to continue to focus on my education, and just kind of distracted me through a different path. So one of the ways we're combating is by empowering those that have been phased out of education, by going back into the community, by reaching out to those that have been formerly incarcerated, are the ones that usually don't go back to seek higher education. So we targeting the reentry programs, community colleges, and making sure we're reaching out to continuation in different communities where we are able to inform them about the pathway of education, and letting them know that maybe didn't work out for them in LAUSD. Like a lot of us, it doesn't work out for us. The majority of us, LAUSD has a high dropout rate, I think of 50%. At least my time, everybody was dropping out. And so it was a way to just infuse that education back into the community. So for us, being that we're already here at the highest level of education, we're able to relate to those that come from our background and inspire them. So just one, like I mentioned, just being able to empower them into knowing that they can be just as good as anybody else, and eliminating that barrier, which is providing your own mental barriers within yourself that doesn't allow you to succeed or move forward. So that's one of the ways. And as far as the zero tolerance policy, as you know, once you get formally incarcerated at this level, we're doing a lot of lobbying, a lot of trying to publish articles, and one of them is education, and we're trying to dismantle the school to prison pipeline. And I think for us, it's really important to inform and educate those in power about how the school system should function in allowing people to uh, be served where they're at, such as students, right? Because a lot of times principals or the school system can never really relate to the child or why they're misbehaving or the kid, right? Or why they're not concentrating in class. But when you grow up in such an environment that there's drug abuse, homicides, hostility, violence, that insecurity about your safety is difficult sometimes to focus. So it's about trying to find a way to, through policy, of not just trying to simply kick out students, but using different forms of intervention and prevention that can help the students through their educational pathway.
Right.